All right, well, why don't we start and then people will join us when we're in progress. So let me just say, welcome everyone. It's good to see all of you. I hope you're doing well. It's nice to see you again. I think we actually took off a month on the ICODR member meetings because we had the ODR forum in Dublin, which was great. And I also want to point out that Ian McDuff has now kicked off a podcast for ICODR. He's recorded 2 episodes, one with Ethan and one with Leah. We're editing them now. So I'll be circulating that to all of the ICODR members as we move forward. But he may be reaching out to many of you to interview you about the work that you're doing. And I think Ian just has a voracious mind, and I think he's going to be an excellent host for the podcast. So keep an eye on that. But I'm delighted today that we are joined by our good friend Petros, who is doing some amazing things. And Graham, maybe I can hand it over to you to sort of kick off the conversation today.
Yeah, well, thank you, Colin. Petros, very much looking forward to this chat with you. I've known you for many years within the ODR community. Petros, everybody, is a fellow, another fellow of the NCTDR, and has had a long involvement in ODR. He, throughout this period, is a mediator and lawyer and focuses very much on the consumer field, which, as many of you may know, has been a field that's been heavily, the ODR in consumer, heavily developed throughout Europe with legislation in that respect. He's a member of the Central Mediation Committee at the Ministry of Justice in Greece, has been working with the ministry for some 2 years now, but of course, mostly as a practitioner. And what we're going to see today, excitingly, is a fully formed app. You know, that's what we've long talked about as part of access to justice, giving people ODR on the phone, called ADR for All, to easily allow consumers to pursue their claims. Petros, very excited to learn more on what you're up to and what you're doing, but particularly ADR for All.
Mm-hmm. Thank you very much, Graham, and everyone. Nice to see more people. Ken, Leah, so nice to see you. Okay, let me share my screen and start the presentation. Oops. Where is the presentation?
Type it there.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes, we can see.
You can see?
We can see it. Yep.
Okay, let me. It's always a challenge when someone else's computer. Let me see how I can change the slide.
It's working. Perfect.
Yeah.
It's working. Good. So, what is ADR for All? I mean, how did it start? It started 3 or 4 years ago through a European project. The European Commission has actually, we filed a proposal and it was approved by the European Commission, and they gave us the grant to develop an app whereby consumers could easily have access to consumer dispute resolution. So what we did is we took that opportunity and have developed the first version of ADR for All, which was a limited version in the sense that the consumer could submit a complaint through the app, and the complaint would go to an ADR body, to the central administration switchboard of an ADR body, and thereon everything was done outside this system. So once the complaint would reach the administrator would first of all do the procedural and the legal check necessary in order to approve the complaint, and then would contact the trader and see if the trader wished to participate in the dispute resolution process. So he appointed a mediator, and the mediator would take over the dispute. Also the consumer could. Sorry, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you perfectly.
And the mediator would will talk to the trader if he wanted to participate, and then everything hopefully would be sorted out, either reaching a solution or not. Also, the consumer could follow the status of the case in real time through his app. Now, this was the first version, and it was, as I said, the limited version. And then we went up and with the next European program, and we expanded that. And we expanded it in the sense that we have created what we call an ODR ecosystem, meaning that it was an end-to-end service addressed to consumers, traders, and case handlers. So the main, as you see in this screen, it was ADR for all, covering both flows. And there was one flow, the so-called ADR for other, so all other disputes, and one particularly targeted to travel, because there were millions of travel disputes, not only because of COVID. There were so many disputes in the COVID era, but generally speaking, there are millions of travel disputes in every sense. So we wanted to do something which was dedicated to travel. So we developed that app. And I'll show you how it goes. Once the user is downloading the app, he will first have to agree with the terms of use, and then there's a tutorial of around 10 screens. Sorry, 10 screens. So he roughly knows what to expect. Okay, and how is the structure of the app. And then he comes across the basic screen, and the basic screen, the first screen, gives him the opportunity to either start a new case, because he might wishes to file a complaint for the first time, or he has already filed a complaint, and in an ongoing process of dispute resolution, he needs to go to the chat rooms to see if there's something new. Like, for example, if the trader has responded to what he said, or if the mediator has sent him a message. So this is where, the workflows, the first one goes allows him to start a new case, and the second to go to the chat rooms. And as you see in the next slide, we have a dual process of negotiation and mediation. So he can either go to the negotiation room if he has filed a complaint directly negotiate with the trader, or he can go to mediation room in two instances. First instance, if he has filed directly to an ADR body to resolve his dispute with the trader, or if he has filed directly to the trader in the negotiation room, and the negotiation hasn't, produced a settlement. So within the environment of the negotiation room, we'll see in the next screens, he can also refer the case to another body. So if he wants to get into the mediation or the negotiation rooms, all he has to do is to type his email and a unique case number, which is different for negotiation and different for mediation. And I say that because if he's in a negotiation room directly discussing with the trader, and there's no result, and the process ends, the process is terminated, then he cannot again log into the negotiation room with the same credentials. If he doesn't want to move forward with referring his case to another body, that's the end of it. But if he wants to refer the case, then he gets a different case number, and he can only log in to the mediation room. So this is how it looks. And you will notice that there is a green and a blue color, and we did it on purpose because one flow is for all other cases, and the blue one is for the travel cases. So this goes throughout the app, so the user can easily find out which flows he's following. Now, see, in here you can see in this screen, you can see the case status, whereby the user can see what is the status of his case. For example, he says case submitted, pending approval. If it is approved, it would say case approved. and then it might say the mediator has been appointed, and then the mediator is conducting the trader, and so on. And this is done by the mediator, because once the case submitted is approved by the administrator, then the mediator takes over. And so he can click here. Also, there is a message by the administrator that can be sent to the user in case something, for example, there is a problem with the app, or any problem with the process. This is not a two-way communication. It's only a one-way communication by the administrator to the user. Otherwise, it will be, you know, too much of a burden for the administrator to handle so many cases. Following that screens, he enters the negotiation room then, and in the negotiation room, you can see this is the unique case number that he gets. This is the date of submission, and here is the company, and here's day 0. So this is he just submitted the complaint today, and then it starts counting. How many days they can negotiate? As many days as they want. It's up to them. There are no limitations, as there are in the referral of a case. Here also you have 3 dots, and they open this drop-down menu, whereby the user can export the dialogues that he has with the trader. He can attach files. And then he has 3 more options. The first one is to click case settle with trader if everything goes well and the case is settled through direct negotiations. And we also give him a pop-up in order to confirm his choice, because there's no way back if you press that. And then there is dismiss case if for any reason he wants to terminate the discussion with the trader. And also there's a confirmation button here. And the third one, as I said before, is to refer a case to an ADR body if he sees that his discussions, his direct negotiations with the trader came to a deadlock. So he, instead of re-initiating the process of submitting, he can do that through the negotiation environment. And then also, if you see here, there is this sign, and you can click that. We'll see it later on, and you can have all the information about the processes, the rules of procedure, and all the information that is necessary for the user. And down here, there is a toolbar, which is start the case, negotiation room, and mediation room. So the user can send messages, and you can see the time and the date that he can send the message, and he can upload files and so on. Now, this is the mediation room. So the mediation room has, as you see, a different number. The negotiation room, the case numbers start with N, and the mediation cases start with M. Now here we have days 0 out of 90, because we have a limitation of the 90 days, and this is according to the ADR directive. They provide for 90 days as a maximum period, unless you have some kind of an extension agreed by both parties. You have a limitation of 90 days to resolve the dispute. Also here is the name of the trader. Here we have only two options. The first one is to make attachments. We don't have the possibility to download the text, to export the text, because it's supposed to be a confidential discussion between the parties. And you can also dismiss the case for any reasons that you might have. Okay, so after if you remember, we are now starting a case. So let's go back to we have talked about going to the chat room. Now let's talk about starting a new case. So here he will start a new case, and the first thing that he needs, the first piece of information that he needs to give us is his country. And we need the country of residence, because a combination of a few things, like country of the residence of the consumer, the country of where the trader is established, and the value of the dispute, and some other factors are very much relevant in order for the app to decide whether the process will be the dispute resolution process will have any fees or not. So he clicks here one letter, and then he can choose the country that he is residing. And then the next screen calls him to decide of what will be the workflow. So will it be travel? Is it a travel dispute, or is it any other dispute? Now, the two question marks is that they signal that in the updated version, which is underway, we'll have two more workflows, and possibly that would be one generally related to online gambling and generally speaking, things that are happening in social media, all this online environment that creates dispute. And the second one will be energy. Okay, then the user is required to give the name of the trader. Now he can just click the first number of the trader, and if the trader is listed in the system, everything will be completed automatically. If not, you will need to add a new trader. And the new trader, once added and you click next, he will go on. He will be registered in the system. Okay. After filing this information, he needs to decide on the process. Is he going to negotiate with the trader, which is strongly advised by us, and actually is one of the preconditions in our entity. First, you talk to the trader, and if you find no solution, then you refer your case to another body. He needs to choose the process. Of course, he can choose refer to another body, but then it's up to the other body to approve or not his complaint without any prior discussions with the trader. So now, the roads are split, and let's see what's happening next. So he will start a new case. So it says to negotiate directly with the trader. So he clicked on negotiate with the trader, and we start here. He needs to accept terms of use related to negotiations, like the language used and how he will write his text, and all this sort of things. And he clicks start. And now he will start filing the details, the information of the case. And then you see there's a bar in the upper side of the screen, and that signals the stages. There are 6 stages in order to submit the case. He will have to type his email and confirm his email, because it's absolutely important that he has the right email for many reasons. First of all, because it's part of the credentials in order to log into the negotiation in the mediation room, but also you get some information in his email. So we need to be absolutely sure that the email is correct. So after that, he will start giving some information about the case. Now, especially in the travel sector, we have selected 2 choices. One is myself. So he's filing for himself. And the second is myself and other travelers. And why did we do that? Because we wanted to cover the so-called collective ADR. So it's not, I know it's not exactly a collective ADR, but it's a sort of collective ADR, meaning that if he's traveling with a group or with his family, they don't need to file different complaints. And then he will have to fill in the amount that they spend and they're claiming back from the trader. And the case information starts here. And you see we have moved to the second, at the bar, we moved to the second stage where you give the case information. So whether you bought that online or offline or any other option, the other is almost everywhere, because the user might have in mind something different of what we had in our mind when we were developing the app. And also have automatic calendars to give us dates he bought the travel service on, and so on. So I'm only going to demonstrate the travel workflow, because we have 4 workflows, 2 for travel and 2 for other, negotiation and referral. So after he gives us all this information, then he goes to the third stage, and we need some details now. So the travel dispute has to do with what? And here we have some options, and there's some others which are not visible. like travel and transport and so on. And he needs to give us some piece of information about the invoice and the receipt and booking reference and so on. The more information that we need, the less we need to talk on the chat room, because that makes it a lot easier for him. Then we ask him to tell us what is his problem with the trader. And here also we have some options like booking processes, cancellation, so on, of course, other, where he can say a few things. And he can also type within the limitation of 1,000 characters, briefly describe his problem to the trader. We didn't want to go into too much detail. That's why we put a limitation, which is I think fair enough, to express yourself in 1,000 characters. Okay. Sorry, I see some incoming questions in the chat. Oop.
No, they're just comments back and forth.
Okay,
no
okay,
questions yet, Petros. We'll surface them when questions. And if people do have questions, please don't hesitate to put them in the chat. We'll get to them after your presentation's over.
Let me see. Okay, so we move on. Okay, next screen. Going also case details. What is his request from the trader? Like change of dates, change of services, and so on. And also here he can upload relevant documents. Okay, the documents will go to the trader's cloud platform, and he'll be able to see it also to the platform of the administrator. And then it's his contact details. We have already reached stage 4. I mean, it's very fast. Here he needs to give us his full contact details. You see that his country is already here, and also his email is already there. So these are two things that he cannot change, and he doesn't have to fill them in because they're already pre-filled. And then he needs to agree on the data protection, because this is an obligation to have here in Europe about protecting the data. I'm sure there's something equivalent in the United States and in other places, but we abide by the GDPR, and he needs to agree on that and on a disclaimer that we have in the app. This is stage 5, and we go to the final stage. I have two, they look the same, but they're different. The first one it has to do with negotiations, and the second with a referral. Now, why do we need this? Because we inform the user of what to expect next. So if he reads that, he'll know what the next steps are. We give him instructions of what to do. Actually, this text is under, we're going to change it a little bit in the sense that we're going to make it dynamic. So we will change it whenever needed, and because this is for the benefit of the consumer. And also, if you also see the submission button, one is blue and the other one is white. So white is for the referral and blue is for the negotiation. And after that, you'll see this is how the case, the information of the submission case would look like. The left one is negotiation, and you'll notice that you can see the case number, the type of process, the submission date, the email, the type of dispute, and the name of the trader. And if you see at the bottom of the page, you see, please take a screenshot. So we provided a button. When you click it, you take a screenshot and you keep it for future use. And on the right side, there is a process of mediation, and you will notice that what's different is that they also have a negotiation number. Now, this negotiation number and this mediation number go together because this is a case that started as a mediation, as a negotiation, and then developed in due process as a mediation. Okay. Now, so that's the end. So when he reaches that stage, the submission has been done, and I need to say that in this stage, in this previous stage, if there is a paid service, there are a couple of extra screens whereby the consumer he's requested to pay. the amount. Of course, it's not there because we don't have a payment for the consumer in the negotiation stage. That's only for the referrals. And if the combination of the factors that I described to you before, like the country and the country of the trader and the consumer and other factors, point out to having paid fees for the dispute resolution, then there are a couple of screens and to tell him to pay, and that we provide a system of payment. Now, what happened next? Okay, the consumer has filed a complaint, and now the complaint has reached the administration panel. So you see all these, I don't know if it's easy for you to read, notwithstanding the fact that some of the words are in Greek. So
Petros, are we able just to expand that a little bit?
Yes,
so
I will explain that. So on the left side,
expand
yes. Yeah, I don't know if I can expand it, but it's Graham. You can see it in the next screen. So, so what do you see here on the left side of the screen? Mm-hmm. These are the titles that we have. These are in the cloud platform. So sorry, what you see now are the filters. So we have the case number filter, the consumer, the trader, their countries. So you can click, for example, France, and you will get all the cases where the consumer comes from France. So you see the case status, whether it started, at what stage it is, the deadline for checking out for approving the case. We need 21 days to approve, and the result, if the case has been assigned to mediator, what is the deadline for completion, field of dispute, and area of dispute. These are the filters. And in the next screen, you'll see this side, the left side of the screen of the platform, where you can see the home page, and then there is a list of the administrators. And by saying administrators are all the ADR entities, we can be listed on this environment, and one ADR entity is one administrator. And then are the list of mediators. Then we have the flow of negotiation, and we split the flow of mediation into separate categories, the free cases and the paid cases. And then we have the closed cases from both categories, expired cases. We have a list of the traders, and this is important to have them because we frequently need to correct their details, because sometimes the consumers, when they type the information, they're doing some mistakes, and we need to check them. And the chat rooms. So the administrator can see the chat room, but he cannot participate in the discussions. He can only check to see if everything is going smoothly. Then there is a task. The tasks. So tasks mean that there's a tool that allows the administrator to keep notes and things that he has to do. Then is the frequently asked question and the legal, which is also in the app, and we can click there to correct texts and add text and any changes that we need to make. And last is the statistics. We have overall statistics in the app, in the platform, and we will also have statistics separately for each trader. So let's go then to the trader. I think this is the trader's platform. No, this is the administrator's platform. So when the case comes to the administrator, he has the following tabs. The first one, as it pointed out by the arrow, is the check assignment tab, and then is case tab, the record tab or history tab, the description tab, and then is the trader tab, the consumer tab, the payment tab, and the management tab. Now, the first one is what the administration gets the case, okay, when it comes to the platform, he needs to do a dual check. The first one is to ensure compliance of the submitted complaint with the relevant law. So if something which falls outside the scope of the law, then he will tick a box, and that immediately means that the case is rejected. And the user is informed about that with a reasoned reply in his app. The second check that he needs to do is to ensure compliance of the submitted complaint with the rules of procedure. Each ICODR entity has some rules of procedure, and the user filing a complaint needs to respect these rules. So if, for example, he's filing a complaint for €1, this probably falls under the rule that the value of dispute is insignificant. Or if he files a complaint 5 years after the incident occurred, these are more or less reasons, and some other reasons, the grounds for rejection. We do not necessarily reject, but we have the right to reject as an ICODR entity. The third one, once he has done this double compliance check, he approves or rejects the submitted complaint within 21 days, and there is a countdown in the filters. And the last one is he appoints a mediator in the administration platform. This is done by an exchange of clicks within the platform. He appoints a mediator based on the language he speaks and his expertise on the field of the case. And then the mediator receives the invitation, and he replies. Either he accepts or he rejects on two bases. First of all, he is unavailable, and the second, he has a conflict of interest. If he rejects, then the administrator repeats the case with another mediator. And the rest of the tabs, in the rest of the tabs, the administrator can see all the information that the consumer has filled in during the submission stage. The last one, the payment is, he can check whether, if it's a paid case, payment has been affected. And the last one is the management of the case. All the things that I've said before, like sending a message to the consumer if needed, and so on. Because as I said before, it's only after he appoints the mediator, then the administrator just monitors the process if he is done properly. Now, this is the mediator's platform. Mediator log in with their own credentials, and here what we have is the switchboard, which is on the left side of the screen, and the chat room, which is on the right side. So how is this done? If you see, there are different colors. So one color says mediator and consumer, the green one, and the red one, mediator and trader. So if he clicks on the first one, then he goes to chat with the consumer. If he clicks on the second one, he goes to chat with the trader, and he can chat and write text and upload messages and so on. Where does this end? It ends when the mediator thinks that he has exhausted all the possibilities of reaching out an agreement, and he cannot anymore find a common ground. And what he does is that he will send a proposal to the parties, and if both of them accept the proposal, that's the end of the story, a successful completion of the case. If not, if even one of the parties rejects the proposal, then that's the end of the case, and the case is closed and filed. Here, it's not easy to see, but there is the number of the case, and then also the name of the person who the mediator is talking to. He has all the information available when he's chatting with the parties. And this is the traders platform. It's the same logic, the same philosophy. He also has the tool here in number 3 to chat with the media. He has the same exactly the same structure. He can talk with if it's a negotiation case and he clicks it, he can chat directly with the consumer. If it's a mediation case, he can click he can click it and talk directly with the mediator. And he also have on number 2. He also has the, all the information, case history, description, consumer details, and everything here in his panel to be able to, to see the details of the case. And I suppose, coming near the end of the presentation, this is the ADR ecosystem, more easily to understand is the app, and then is the ODR platform for the administrator, the ODR platform for the traders, and the ODR platform for the mediators. And we have already prepared, a list of upcoming upgrades, the main upcoming upgrades. And these are the following. The first one is the transfer of cases between administrators. And why do we need that? Because sometimes, even though the consumer feels that he needs to send the case to ADR point, we see that it's a case that it is better to be resolved by, mediation room. And we need to be able to transfer the case to mediation room, which mediation room, of course, needs to be registered in our system. And then we're going to add the new workflows that I've said in the beginning, energy and online gambling. And the third one is we're planning to create a decision assisting tool for the user. This might sound more impressive than it actually is. We're not talking about AI chatbots, because that would need an enormous data base in order to do so. And I don't think we're ready to do at this stage of the app. But actually what I'm referring to is that we're going to gather the information available and give the consumer input as to whether he needs to proceed through negotiation or referral. And also we're going to inform him of what happened in your case. Like we're going to have several factors like country, the rating of the trader, how familiar and sensitive it is in order, and approachable, and he's participating in the dispute resolution process. Also, what sort of a case, the area of dispute and the type of dispute. And then we will give him the information. So in case similar to you, or 6 out of 6 factors, or 2 out of 6, the percentage, the possible outcome for your case is that, a percentage. And it's an assisting tool for the consumer. And then we're planning to do a rating of the traders on 3 different categories. The first is if he participates in the dispute resolution process, because many traders are unwilling to do so. The second is if he participates, but he participates honestly, and he is very cooperative with our mediators and our system. And the third one is the rate of success that he has in resolving disputes. And the last one is, we called it an ADR body selector. I haven't shown it to you because it's on the refer a case flow, but on the refer a case flow, at some point the user is asked to select an ADR body. So here we're also going to assist with 6 factors the consumer to select an ADR body. So based on the language, on the country, on the expertise, on the prices that he charges for the process fees, and he will make a selection, and then he will come up with an outcome. If he wishes to accept it, it's okay. If not, he can choose from the list. And I suppose that's it.
Wow.
Yeah, that's it.
Amazing.
Thank you very
Wow.
much, Petros. It looks a very beautiful system, actually. It looks quite fun to, I can't wait to get my hands on it. It's up there on the App Store, is it, at this stage? Is it available?
For the moment, yeah, very good point, Graham. For the moment, it's in the Android, and within the next couple of weeks, it will be also for the iOS version will be launched. So in a couple of weeks, until the mid of July, perhaps. Yeah.
Right. We have some questions in the chat, if I can quickly go through them. Maya has asked, I might say in true Las Vegas style, cuts to the chase. How much do you pay? Do mediators get paid? And if so, how much? Okay, this is something that we didn't get into because for the moment, because it has just been launched, it's us, it's ADR point is the listed ADR entity, and then we will leave
we will leave, policies like how much the mediators will be paid to the ADR bodies who will be listed in the app. We're not going to get involved on how much they will pay their mediators. Perhaps, there are case handlers which are paid by the month. So it's up to them how much they're going to pay their mediators.
So, because Mai also asked then later on about fees the client or trader pays. This is all in flux at the moment, presumably, is it?
Yes, fees will be minimal fees. Also depending on the combination, as I said before, of the country of the consumer. For example, if you have a let's say a simple dispute between a Greek trader and the French trader and the French consumer, that for ADR point that will be free of charge. If there is a case between a French trader and a US consumer, it will have some sort of charges, fees like 30 or 40 euros. But if it's one like, for example, China and Bangladesh, might be a little bit more, depending also on the value of the dispute. So it's not going to be an expensive process, but it will still, in some instances and some combinations, have certain fees for the process. Not the negotiation process. The negotiation process, no matter whether the trader is established or the consumer leaves, it will be free of charge.
Okay.
But the trader will need to pay.
Right. Lucy asked a question, but I think you clarified this later on. Is mediation with a real person? I think the answer to that is yes. Subsequently, you explained all that. I was asking if any of the initial stages involve AI, and she refers to crowdsourcing. Well, that would be something, wouldn't it, to be able to have some form of maybe that's for the future, possibly. I think, I think.
Graham, I see Leah has her hand up.
Yes, Leah.
Fabulous, Petros. As usual, you're creating a beautiful app to solve problems. So congratulations on its launch. I had two questions. I think one is you seem to be doing something unique. And I wonder if you could talk a little bit more about it when you said that someone can make a complaint on behalf of others. So if you're traveling with a group of people, for example, whether they're family or not, and you've all had a problem and you're making a complaint. And I'm just thinking, in some ways, you're tapping into a weakness in the ADR field about not having the ability for class action lawsuits, just as an example. And now it's not a huge body of people, but it's more than one. And so that's creative. And at the same time, I'm imagining there's some complicating administrative components related to that. So how do you confirm that person has the authority to negotiate on behalf of the other people in their traveling party?
Okay, this is a very good point. And actually, I'm glad that you do bring this up, because a couple of days ago, I participated in an ADR roundtable that the European Commission has launched in Brussels, and one of the topics was the collective ADR. And the collective ADR seems like an amazing idea, But the thing is that I left the meeting with more questions that I had before I joined the meeting, and unfortunately we didn't have any answers to that. And although some class actions, when you bring them in the court, are very successful, but collective ADR is a dream. It's a dream how you can do it, and how this can you can bind others without participating in the process. Now this is like a hybrid form of collective ADR. So if, for example, I'm traveling with my family, and they're saying that you're traveling, I'm traveling with the family, and I give the names of the family and the emails. So what they do, I didn't show that in the presentation. When you say I'm filing on behalf of others, what he does is he's called. Do you remember the place when we request in the app to have the contact details of the consumer? Yeah. So when he clicks that I'm traveling with others, then he needs to give us also the details of the others and the emails, and then we will send emails to them just to get an approval that they agree for the one who is filing the complaint to file also the complaint for them. And that's why I'm calling it, this is a quasi collective ADR, but we had to address that because in many instances we have travel disputes concerning groups of people and families. So we didn't want to leave that unaddressed. So I don't know if this answers your question.
It completely answers my question. And again, I think it's creative, and you're pushing, as they'd say, the boat out. You're nudging us to deal with the collective in a way that's, I think it reflects a reality. You got a group traveling together. So can I just follow?
Also, Leah, I just wanted to ask one more word. When we were, doing this up, and we wanted to keep it simple. And I know that, we can do it, as complicated as you can imagine. So complicated that one wouldn't imagine, but we wanted to keep it simple. So we didn't want, to be something which is over-regulated, with too many procedures. We wanted something to be very, very handy for the consumer. So even if he can file a complaint, even in front of the reception of a hotel. That's the idea. Otherwise, you don't need that. You go back home, right, and then you log into the computer and do whatever you want. But we wanted to have it as a piece of, as a tool that allows you easy access to dispute resolution.
That really makes tremendous sense. Can I just do a tiny follow-up? I actually had a friend where this happened to her just a couple of days ago, and it made me think about the user experience. So she purchased baggage, the right to put baggage on the plane in order to travel to Europe. And she bought it through a marketplace to travel on an airline that had farmed out the actual flight to another airline. And there was a problem with, she paid and then she didn't get the ability to put her baggage on. So will the consumer know who to put down as the trader? Is it the marketplace? Is it the airline she bought the ticket on? Is it the airline that's actually flying? And I just wondered, for example, if she put in the name of the marketplace, what is the mechanism that will help her find the actual trader? That's
a second nice question that you're asking, and we have came up actually with this problem during the COVID year of travelers who bought their tickets not from the airline agency but from travel agencies. It's almost the same, and the question, the problem that they had is whether they need to fight a complaint against the travel agency or the airline company, because the travel agents, when we got into touch with them, they said that it's not our fault because it's the fault of the airline company, and we had a tremendous problem over there. I'm not sure I have an answer to give you, but I suppose that he will file a complaint against the trader from whom he bought the services. And if he declares, not responsible for that, then we can instruct him to file another complaint against the airline, the carrier or the handling service. I know it's tricky, it's difficult, but there's no other way that can be done. It's difficult to tell him that, go and file a complaint against the airline company, because the airline company might say that you didn't buy the ticket from me, I'm not a part of your contract, and you go to the marketplace or to the travel agent. So we, in a way, guide the consumer. First, we tell him to directly, file a complaint against the trader whom he bought the service from, and then we examine other options.
Thanks. I'll send her to ADR for travel.
Thank you, Leah. Any more questions?
Yeah, we have a couple hands up. Meyer, why don't you go first, and I'll go after you.
Okay, I have multiple questions. It's a very interesting presentation and it piques my curiosity because of the program I'm running. I'm curious, what do you pay the administrator? It seems like it's a full-time job. And what's the source of your funding, if you would reveal that? And how much did it cost to put this app together?
Okay, let me start from the last one. It's quite some tens of thousands of euros is my answer to your third question. And the second question is that actually it's a lot of workload for the administrators, and we have 2 administrators, and they get paid by the month because they are staff of the company, so we don't pay him by case or so. And most of the ADR bodies have an administrator that he's monthly paid, and he processes all the incoming cases. Otherwise, it's impossible to do.
And what is the source of your funding? How did you get started?
When it comes to the European programs, we're partly funded by the European Commission for these projects. Yes, but we also fund our own. The app that you see is partly funded by the European Commission and by ADR Point, so it was a 50-50 funding. But it's not only that, because you are funded for the 24 months, which is the duration of the project, and then you need to work on the project and do your own awareness campaign and meetings and meet traders and everything else, which is you need to pay them by your own resources. So we pay that ourselves.
And is your company a non-profit, or is it?
No, it's a profit organization.
Profit, okay.
Yeah, it's a profit.
Thank you, Maya. I could see a theme running through your questions, but Colin, you've got your hands up. I don't know when you.
Yeah, Petros, I just want to say this is an incredible accomplishment, and I think your design is incredibly slick and very professional. And I just want to thank you for putting such a great foot forward for the ODR field. I think if I was a European Commission regulator or something and I saw this app, I would say, wow, this is a lot of polish. This is very advanced. And as Graham noted, we've been talking in the ODR field about trying to put an app in people's pockets to resolve disputes for years, decades at this point. And as far as I know, you're the only person that's pulled it off. So I want to thank you for that. I will say, I wanted to ask about your strategy on video, because I know in the United States, a lot of times when people have a dispute now, it's a very common thing to pull out your phone and hit record, and I could see having geolocation on the phone, because most of the consumers, I love your ODR ecosystem, by the way. I think it's really important to have a portal for the administrator, a portal for the trader, and a portal for the mediator, all feeding in to the app, because that's what delivers the value to the consumer. But the consumer's on the front line. Leo was talking about the baggage dispute. I think I could see if I had a dispute in a Starbucks and the person at the counter was being rude to me and they refused to give me a refund, I'd pull out my ADR for All app and hit a button and start recording and, put it in their face and then say, okay, well, now I have the evidence of Starbucks being rude to me. I need a dispute resolution process, or I need someone from Starbucks corporate to come in and get involved and take care of my issue right on the spot. And if I could geolocate by my phone, they know that I'm in a Starbucks store, and I could capture that video. I really feel like the immediacy of your app is sort of taken to the next level. So I don't mean to give you more work, but have you thought about video in your app and some of these other mobile first functionalities and how you could leverage them for ADR for all?
Yes, very good question, Colin. No, we haven't. Actually, we did in the sense of why not also working on a video communication between the user and the mediator. And in this sense, yes, we have thought of that, but maybe then we said it's too heavy. There are so many other ways of doing that through Viber and WhatsApp, and I didn't really find that would be something of added value for the. But this is what you're telling me. It's a new idea. I haven't thought about, to be honest with you, and I don't know if this could work. Actually, how can you record someone and things related to GDPR, and I don't know how it would be.
Well, I will say, we're all thinking about video these days just because Zoom has become so commonplace, and, companies like Mediation. I know Bob is on the call, Next Level Mediation. He integrated video chat. At ODR.com, we don't have an integrated video platform. You can plug into Zoom. But I think this is something we're all going to need to think about, because I think that even if we see the value of these tools in structuring the conversation, the consumers, they may be the ones who push for video just because it's so commonplace on their devices. And I do think it's going to become a commodity at some point where we're all going to be able to integrate video, and it's not going to cost a lot of money. We'll be able to plug in to sort of standardized systems. But anyway, again, kudos to you. I'm so glad we have this recording for ICODR, because I know a lot of people are going to want to see it. And I think a lot of people are going to want to integrate it too, as you expand your global reach. So.
Well, thank you, Colin. And may I also,
Petros, I can say,
sorry,
go on.
I want to say this, there's such a big difference in the way of thinking, Colin, between, the Americans and the Europeans. We are so conservative in our thinking, and, you are taking, so minor steps in order to progress and to boost things. Whereas in the other side of the Atlantic, the case is completely different. I cannot even imagine someone daring to say, a proposal like that in a meeting, in the meetings that we do in the consumer forum. It's unimaginable, and yet I think this is what pushes us one step forward. This kind of thinking. It's Graham. I'm sure I'm sure the difference between the way of thinking between the Europeans and the Americans. But
I will say, Petros, I've had these conversations with Pablo Cortes many years, and I think Europe is very public sector led. It's kind of conservative, as you say. In the United States, the public sector is out of it. It's just private companies doing whatever they want. And let me just tell you, there's a lot of minuses to that. It's very chaotic as well in the US, but there is a lot of innovation, as you say. And, if somebody comes up with a killer app, they just build it and let's see what happens, and they don't worry. We don't have a GDPR that's constraining our activities in the same way. So, but this is, I feel like you've done an amazing job here and really advanced the ball. So thank you for that.
Yeah, but there is a negative, there is a minus in Europe, Colin, as Petros knows, with the ODR consumer law. It's largely been significantly ignored by traders, because the weakness when they passed the law was they made it non-binding on traders. But Petros, I think what you are producing is a development that could well be the development to encourage more participation by traders. We all like dealing with online and apps and all that sort of. And I hope that that's the way forward. And it'd be interesting to see what level of compliance you get from the traders for the cases and disputes that are filed. I suspect you'll have a higher return than the norm and the general, but that's to be seen, I suppose. Finally, just this question: ADR for all, neat, lovely. Why A and not O?
Okay, I know this discussion. Oh, perhaps A, it won't be A in a couple of years, in a few years ahead, but it is now for the moment. So now
appropriate dispute resolution for all. Yeah.
We had a very interesting discussion in the round table, and someone said to us,
we're hitting the magic hour. It's been really wonderful. Quickly.
Wait, let Graham, let Petros finish. He has one more story, and then we'll wrap.
He was saying that even ADR or ODR, these acronyms are very familiar to us because we're in the field. But if you go out and ask someone what is ADR or ODR, I don't think he'll be able to tell. So, and one more thing regarding the traders, Graham, is that our thinking was the traders don't very much want to get involved in these sort of processes. They want to talk directly to the consumer. So what we thought is, let's give them a tool that in which they can talk directly to the consumers. But at the same time, let them know that if you don't find a solution, next door there's a mediation room. So this might be easier for them, to absorb. Otherwise, they will be, very negative and reluctant, to go directly to dispute resolution through the involvement of a mediator. Yeah.
Thank you very much, then, Petros. I think that wraps it up for this time. Colin, do we know who next up is next month? I'm not sure.
No, we haven't confirmed yet, but I'll let everybody know via email ASAP. So, but I thank you, Graham, for hosting us. Thank you, Petros, so much for this wonderful presentation. And stay tuned for Leah's episode on the new ICODR podcast. I'll send that out soon.
Absolutely.
So, all right, take care, everyone.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Have a great summer. Thank you for joining, and we'll talk to you soon.
Yes, bye-bye.